Welcome to Story Planet. Dear listeners, welcome to another journey through the tranquil and heartwarming tales of Story Planet. Tonight, we invite you to a peaceful village nestled in the lush, green countryside of Japan, where the rhythms of nature guide the lives of its people. In this story, we meet Obaasan Miko, a beloved elder whose life is a beautiful tapestry woven with love, tradition, and deep connection to her family and community. As you listen, let the gentle descriptions of changing seasons, the scent of fresh vegetables from her garden, and the warmth of her home fill your mind with comfort and peace. So, find a cozy spot, wrap yourself in a soft blanket, and let the soothing tones of Obaasan Miko's story lull you into a state of relaxation. Here on Story Planet, we believe in the power of stories to calm the soul, and tonight's tale is one that will surely leave you with a heart full of warmth. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy this serene and cozy journey with Obaasan Miko. Sweet dreams, and may your night be filled with peace. Obaasan Miko, a life of love and tradition. In the lush, green countryside of Japan, far away from the bustling cities, there was a small, peaceful village called Aonoyama. Nestled at the foot of a mountain and surrounded by rolling hills and terraced rice fields, Aonoyama was a place where life moved at a gentle pace, guided by the changing seasons and the rhythms of nature. The villagers lived in harmony with the land, following the traditions passed down through generations, and among them was an elderly woman who was the heart and soul of the community, Obaasan Miko. Obaasan Miko was known throughout Aonoyama for her kindness, wisdom, and deep love for her family and the villagers. She had lived in the village all her life, and though her hair was now silver and her hands bore the marks of a lifetime of work, her spirit was as bright and vibrant as ever. She had raised her children with love and care, instilling in them the traditional values and culture that had been handed down to her from her own parents and grandparents. Obaasan Miko lived in a quaint wooden house with a thatched roof, surrounded by a lush garden, where she grew a variety of vegetables, herbs, and flowers. Her home was a place of warmth and comfort, with tatami mats on the floors, paper lanterns hanging from the ceilings, and the smell of freshly brewed tea always in the air. The house was filled with memories, photographs of her children and grandchildren, handmade quilts, and small trinkets collected over the years. Every morning, Obaasan Miko would rise with the sun, her body moving naturally to the rhythms of the day. She would begin by tending to her garden, where she grew everything from leafy greens and root vegetables to fragrant herbs and medicinal plants. Her garden was a source of pride and joy, a testament to her connection with the land and her dedication to living a healthy, balanced life. Obaasan Miko had a deep knowledge of the seasons and the cycles of nature, which she had learned from her ancestors. She knew when to plant each crop, how to nurture the soil, and how to harvest the fruits of her labor at just the right time. She was particularly skilled at preserving the bounty of the harvest, making pickles, jams, and dried herbs that would last through the colder months. Her pantry was always stocked with jars of preserved vegetables, homemade miso, and bundles of dried mushrooms and seaweed. Cooking was one of Obaasan Miko's greatest passions, and she was renowned in the village for her culinary skills. She believed that food was not just nourishment for the body, but also for the soul, and she put love and care into every dish she prepared. Her meals were a celebration of the seasons, featuring fresh, locally grown ingredients and traditional recipes that had been passed down through generations. In the spring, when the cherry blossoms bloomed and the air was filled with the scent of flowers, Obaasan Miko would prepare delicate dishes, like sakura mochi, sweet rice cakes filled with red bean paste and wrapped in cherry blossom leaves. She would also make fresh bamboo shoot rice, a seasonal favorite that was light and fragrant, symbolizing the renewal of life. Summer brought long, hot days and an abundance of fresh vegetables from the garden. Obaasan Miko would prepare cooling dishes, like somen noodles served in a chilled broth, topped with slices of cucumber and grated ginger. She also made tsukemono, pickled vegetables that added a burst of flavor to every meal, and kakigori, shaved ice flavored with homemade syrup, a treat loved by both children and adults. As the leaves turned golden in the fall, Obaasan Miko would celebrate the harvest with hearty dishes that warmed the body and soul. She made kinpira gobo, a stir-fry of burdock root and carrots seasoned with soy sauce and sesame oil, and roasted sweet potatoes, their natural sweetness brought out by the slow cooking. She also prepared odan, a comforting stew made with daikon radish, tofu, and fish cakes, simmered in a light, savory broth. Winter in Aonoyama was a time of quiet reflection, as the village was often blanketed in snow and the days grew short. Obaasan Miko would make warm, nourishing dishes to sustain her family and neighbors through the cold months. Her nabe, a hot pot filled with vegetables, tofu, and slices of tender meat, was a favorite, bringing everyone together around the table to share in its warmth. She also made zenzai, a sweet red bean soup served with mochi, a dish that brought comfort and cheer to even the coldest days. Obaasan Miko's love extended far beyond her cooking. She was a pillar of the community, always ready to lend a helping hand to anyone in need. She was a healer with a deep knowledge of traditional medicine and the healing properties of plants. When a villager fell ill, Obaasan Miko would visit with a basket of herbs and teas, offering remedies that had been used for generations. Her gentle touch and soothing words were often enough to lift the spirits of those she cared for. She also played an important role in passing down the village's traditions and culture to the younger generations. She would gather the children in her home, teaching them how to make origami cranes, how to perform the tea ceremony, and how to respect and honor the natural world. She told them stories of the past, of the gods and spirits that watched over the land, and of the importance of living in harmony with nature. Obaasan Miko's love for her family was boundless. Her children had grown up and moved to the city, but they visited often, bringing their own children to spend time in the village. When her grandchildren arrived, the house would fill with laughter and the sound of little feet running across the tatami mats. Obaasan Miko would spoil them with their favorite dishes, telling them stories of their ancestors and teaching them the values that had been passed down through the generations. She cherished these moments, knowing that she was helping to keep the family's traditions alive. She taught her grandchildren how to plant seeds in the garden, how to knead dough for bread, and how to bow properly when greeting elders. She showed them the beauty of the changing seasons, taking them on walks through the fields and forests, pointing out the first cherry blossoms in spring, the golden rice fields in autumn, and the quiet stillness of the snow-covered landscape in winter. Obaasan. Miko's life was one of simplicity, love, and deep connection to the land and her community. She had seen many changes over the years, but she remained steadfast in her commitment to the values that had been passed down to her. She believed in the importance of family, of tradition, and of living a life that was in harmony with the natural world. As she grew older, the villagers began to realize just how much Obaasan Miko meant to them. She was not just a grandmother to her own family, but a grandmother to the entire village, a source of wisdom, comfort, and love. They sought her advice on everything from gardening to raising children, and they knew that her door was always open to anyone who needed a listening ear or a warm meal. One autumn evening, as the sun set behind the mountains and the air was filled with the scent of wood smoke and fallen leaves, the villagers gathered to celebrate the harvest festival. It was a time of gratitude, of giving thanks for the abundance of the land and the blessings of the year. As the villagers gathered around a large bonfire, they sang songs, told stories, and shared the food that Obaasan Miko and others had prepared. There was rice harvested from the fields, grilled fish from the river, and vegetables from Obaasan Miko's garden. The children ran around, laughing and playing, while the elders sat together watching with smiles on their faces. Obaasan Miko sat quietly by the fire, her heart filled with a deep sense of contentment. She looked around at the faces of her family and neighbors, knowing that she had lived a life full of love and meaning. The village was thriving, the land was bountiful, and the traditions she had worked so hard to preserve were alive and well in the hearts of the younger generations. As the night grew darker and the stars began to twinkle in the sky, the villagers gathered around Obaasan Miko, presenting her with a beautiful hand-woven shawl made by the women of the village. It was their way of showing their gratitude and love for the woman who had given so much to them. Obaasan Miko accepted the gift with tears in her eyes, feeling the warmth of the shawl and the love of the villagers. She wrapped it around her shoulders, feeling the softness of the fabric and the strength of the bonds that held the community together. In the quiet of the night, as the fire crackled and the leaves rustled in the breeze, Obaasan Miko whispered a prayer of thanks to the gods and spirits who watched over the village. She knew that she was part of something much larger than herself, a legacy of love, tradition, and connection that would continue long after she was gone. And so, in the village of Aonoyama, where the seasons changed with a gentle grace, and where life was lived in harmony with nature, Obaasan Miko's spirit would always be present. In the gardens she had tended, in the meals she had prepared, in the stories she had told, and in the hearts of those she had loved, her legacy would live on. For Obaasan Miko, life was a tapestry woven from the threads of family, tradition, and the land she loved so dearly. And in that tapestry, every season, every meal, and every act of kindness was a stitch that connected her to the past, the present, and the future. A beautiful, enduring work of art that would be cherished for generations to come. Thank you for visiting Story Planet. We hope you enjoyed your journey through the peaceful village life with Obaasan Miko. letting your imagination wander through the seasons and traditions of her world. If you found comfort in this story, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming tales. Your support helps us continue bringing cozy stories to life. Until next time, sweet dreams and peaceful nights.